Good morning, everyone. I think our training shall start in another 1 minute soon while we wait for some other participants to join us in this morning. So first off, can everyone hear my voice? Is my voice clear? So if let's say you can hear my voice, or if you need, if there's any technical questions, just type it in the chat box and let me know. How's everything going on?
Yes, Kim, we can hear.
Okay, everything is fine, right? Now, okay, good morning, everyone. So welcome to our ISO 9 free training session today. My name is Kim, who will be helping you to moderate this training. And welcome to SQC Management, where we provide a one-stop solution, assisting our clients to achieve their ISO status. Now, before we begin, I would like to inform you that this is just a very brief overview of the ISO 9 standards. Okay, so it's designed to give you a very general understanding of the requirements, benefits, and also some of the process of the implementation of them. So this is 3 hours free trainings, and we shall cover the key aspect of the ISO 9 standards. So just a very generals and overviews of the standards, yeah. So I would also like to emphasize for 2 important points that we need to keep in mind. Now, first, you need to stay until the end. Remember to stay until the end of the training sessions, because we will provide proof of training to those who participate in this assessment, okay? Now, second, of course, as a very staple training session, we will have a Q&A session at the end of this training. So feel free to ask any questions you may have about the topic that covered in this training. Okay, now, please allow me to introduce our trainers for today's sessions. Shin Lim, in which you can also call her Shin. So Shin is our management consultant at SQC Management, and she is a competent person for SWAM, and also now pursuing her master's in measuring in safety, health, and environment engineering. So Shin is highly skilled in providing quality management support to clients across industries and has helped companies in all sizes to achieve various of ISO status, like for example, ISO 9, 14, 45,000 and others, along with other management systems implementation initiative. Okay, so over to you now, Shin.
Okay, so hi everyone, can everyone see me? Okay, hi. I saw someone in the group behind there. Hi. Okay, so before we start, maybe I would like to have a briefly understanding. So can I know whether any one of you attended any ISO 9000 training, or any one of you are in this quality management system team? So if yes, maybe you can put a thumbs up or a like. No? Very freshly in ISO 9000, is it? Okay. Yes, fresh. Okay, no problem. So after this training, this session of training, you will have a brief understanding on the what are ISO 9000 and the requirements inside lah. So if there's no question, so we will follow on our training section now. So let me share my screen. Okay, so everyone can see my screen, right? Okay, so let me introduce myself again. So today I'm the trainer for today's session on Introduction to ISO 9000 Quality Management System. My name is Shin Lim, and you can call me Shin or Shin Lim. So along the way, if you have any question, you can actually feel free to drop a message in the chat box. Yeah, so later on we will answer the questions. So for today's content, generally we will touch 4 sections. So the first part is actually on ISO 9000 overview. Secondly, terms and definition that we usually use in this management system, and the brief of this requirement that we need to fulfill in order to comply to ISO 9000 quality management system. And so lastly, the route to the certification. So after this course, you'll be able to understand, to define the terminologies used in ISO 9000 and also describe these requirements and also state the process through ISO 9000 certification. So what are the benefits of ISO 9000 certification to the company? So generally, as you know, ISO 9000 is actually one of these international standards. So if you comply and you have this ISO 9000 certs, you will be able to enhance your company image, also reduce these multiple second party assessment. Also, as this is a management system that covered the whole process, the operational process in your company. So at the same time, you will increase the teamwork, increase the awareness, and increase the quality of your products and your service to your customer. So in this, on the international market, of course, you will give a competitive edge and your recognition by global purchaser, and also you will be accessed to this international market. So overview here. So what is ISO? ISO here is actually stands for the International Organization for Standardization. It is a worldwide organization, national standard bodies. And for your information, so the standards that covered in ISO is nearly 24,000 of standards here. And general information here, so the headquarters for ISO is actually located in Geneva, Switzerland. And as you can see, it's established quite long. So it's since 1947. So in ISO 9000, it's like a family tree here. So in ISO 9000 series, there's a few other specific requirements, standards here. So we have from here, we can see we have 9001, 9000, 9004, 19011. So today we will be focusing on the first one, ISO 9000, which is on this quality management system requirements. So here it's a brief overview on the history of the background. So the first release of ISO 9000 is actually on 1987. So mainly the covered items in is actually more to this quality assurance. We have 20 elements. So as you can see, now we are at this 5th edition, which is 9001 2015, meaning that this edition is released officially released in year 2015. So in this edition, the main changes here is on this high level structure where they reorganize the requirements, the topics and subtopics to make it a better and clearer approach. And also that the major change is at this part. So before I go into section B, so there's the overview on ISO 9001 in section A. So any question that you want to ask, you feel free to type in the chat box. Okay. So now, going into these terms and definitions that we usually use in ISO 9001. So first, we will actually, as you can see, the word risk. So the meaning of risk is actually the effects of any uncertainties or expected result. Okay, and documented information is one of the terms that we use frequently in ISO 9000. So documented information here is referring to any information that to be controlled and maintained by the organization. So in simple words, the work instructions, all your records, your forms, your SOPs, these are considered in documented information. And next on performance. Performance here is actually more to this measurable result, as we need to know, oh, what are our status now? have we achieved certain results? So in order to have a better analysis, the result, the performance that we measured should be a measurable result. And for the context of organization, so this is actually an introduction, like an introduction of a storybook. So this is more to an introduction of your organization. So in the context of organization, you will cover internal and also the external environment that can affect to your organization. So later on, we'll go into this section also. So quality here is actually more to you fulfilling the needs and expectation of your interested parties. So when you are able to fulfill the needs and the expectation of your customers, meaning that you provide a quality service, a quality product for them. Okay, so knowledge here is actually more to the collection of information, any types of information that are available and it's useful to your organization. And the process is all the activities in your company that will interact each other interact each other. So starting from the sales part and going to the marketing and so on into the production, and lastly where you have store and you output, the output part where you send the product to your customer side. So all these are called process where you can interlink with each other. So output is actually all the output, the result from the process. So the major change, as you can see, the high level structure here is in the year 2008. So these are the topics and the structure of ISO 9000. And we compare with another ISO, which is ISO 14001. So these are the structure. As you can see, the topics here is quite confused and also quite not neatly structured. So in year 2015, they reorganize it as we call it as a high level structure. So we can make it simplified. And also we know, okay, this item are located in the same clause. So when you have a few ISO to implement, you will not be confused by the clauses here. So as you can see now, the clauses here, the main item here is starting from clause 4 to clause 10. So clause 4 is actually on the context of organization. Clause 5 is on leadership. 6, it's planning. 7, support. 8, operation. 9, performance evaluation. And 10 is on improvement. So now going into this section C, which is on quality management system requirements. In this, we have a few elements, important elements. First is on this process approach. So in this ISO 9000, we usually use process approach as in we identify what are the processes and what are the interaction within and also with between each other processes here. So for example, this is your process, one of the process where you have one activity. So for each activity, definitely you will have an input. For example, your materials, your metal, and the energies that you use. So for this input, what are the sources of this input? So here is usually will be your suppliers, your suppliers, or the output of previous input. The input. Then also for the output part is actually the result that you want. For example, after the production, the activity is on production. After this production, you will have your product, which is finished product, for example. And the receiver here is usually who is the process to the next input, and also who will receive the output. So for example, if your output is a product, so the receiver here will be your customers. Also the same, if after your production, some process you will go into your store, for example, for the storage part. So the receiver of your product will be the store personnel. And in 9001, what we are trying to do is to possibly control and check, make sure that for all this unit process here, we monitor and measure the performance, making sure that, oh, at each stages here, everything goes well and smooth. So when something wrong in between, we are able to trace back what are the root cause and how we would like to solve this accordingly. So this is actually on a single process. So imagine in your company, in your organization, there will be lots of processes. So each of these processes will have this diagram. In quality management, we will have 7 principles. So first is customer focus, where we need to fulfill the needs and the expectation from the customer. Leadership, support from the top management, from the leaders in the company. Engagement of the people. Then we will have this process approach in order to make sure that we monitor all the quality is there. And the improvement, continual improvement is one of the highlights in this principle, as we would like to, we won't stop at the point that, oh, we think, yeah, this is our best, but we continually improve year by year, day by day, month by month, okay? And also next is on evidence-based decision making. So when we want to decide something, making sure that we have evidence to support, not to say, oh, today I would like to go for these suppliers without any reason. So that's why we have a lot of records and form to actually support why we want to choose this as our approved suppliers. Is there anything that is good from them, or is their product or service can help you in improving and also providing a better quality? And also next is on the relationship between your colleagues, relationship between your relationship of you and your suppliers, your customers, or any authorities or organization. Okay, next year it's on, we call this PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. So in this high level structure improvement here, as you can see, they structure it into this PDCA cycle, where you can see here, clause 4, the organization and its context. It's one of the input to your quality management system, the customer requirements, and what are the needs and expectations. So everything here is covered in clause 4, context of organization. Next, in order for us to make everything go smooth, we need the support from leaderships. The leadership here, we need the support from your top management to deal with all the issues. So when you want to do something, or when you want to have an activity or a new product, for example, you need to plan, where you can see clause 6 is on planning. So after you plan, then you will go into operating it. So when you start to operate it, starting in this production, definitely you need to know what are the support that you have in your company, in your organization. Support for the people, infrastructure, or any equipments, tools, then only we can able to operate it. So in this operation, it's more to how you operate and how you control your process. Now, after that, you need to evaluate whether your performance hit your target, or maybe your performance is below what you expected. Now, after you evaluate it, then you know what to do for improvement. If you hit the target, then you can actually try to achieve a better quality service. Or if you notice that after the evaluation, something wrong and make you that you couldn't hit the target that you set. So now you can start to think, what is the root cause? What are the causes here that caused this to happen, and you do improvement accordingly. So after you propose an improvement, definitely you need to start the engine and do the improvement. So now we will go into the planning stage again. So this is the PDCA cycle, whereby we can also ensure that the continuous improvement is going on. So the output from this management system will be the customer satisfaction, the result of quality management system, and also, of course, the product and the services that you provide to your customer. Now, we will go into details on these clauses in ISO 9000 requirement. So starting here, we start from clause 4. So why we didn't start from 0? So let me go back to this. So as you can see, 0, 1, 2, and 3 is more to an introduction of ISO 9000, the terms and definition where we covered just now, and what are the scope for ISO 9000. But starting from clause 4 is what you need to fulfill in order to comply to ISO 9001. So clause 4 to clause 10 is the core fulfilled. So in clause 4, we have 4.1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4.1 here is understanding the organization and its context. So now we need to understand the organization. So we need to know what are the issues internally and externally, internal and external issues, so that we can propose some strategic proposal or solution so that you can solve any issues that you identify. So the difference between external and internal. So external here is something that not within your organization, something that you may not able to control. For example, the legal requirements, the technology out there, competitive market culture, or the economic environment, something that you cannot control, but you need to go along with that. And internal context here is more to your something within your organization, the values in your organization, the culture, the knowledge, the performance, the relationship between your organization. So this is the difference between internal and external. So now let's do a quick understanding and quiz here. So now, maybe can someone just tell me from this, which one is actually in this external issue, or which one is actually categorized in internal issue? So anyone from the floor? Okay, it's okay, but we will share to you so you can see. Now, external issue, we have the cultural, which is not within your organization, the market, competitive, technological, legal, and also the social and economic environments out there. So internally, it's the value, the performance, culture, and also knowledge. So next, in 4.2, which is what we try to understand, what are the needs and expectations of our interested parties. So previously in 4.1, we identified what are the issues. And now we need to know what are the needs and expectations from them. So we try to identify who are these interested parties here. So interested party is, for example, the authorities, your customers, someone that interested to your organization. So internally, who are the interested parties? Your employees will be the interested parties here. So now we need to meet their needs and expectation. So for example, now we have internal issue. So internally, who are these interested parties? Interested parties will be, for example, from the store department, HR, production, or maintenance. What are their issues? Where you can see we try to link 4.2 to 4.1. So the issues and also what are the risks from this issue, whether it's a positive result or a negative result. So other than that, external, we have the authorities, for example, DOE, Department of Environment, where their needs and expectation from them is actually so that you can fulfill their legal requirements. And custom, for example. So now, after you identified what are the needs and expectation from them, you need to monitor and review whether you fulfill their requirements. So 4.3 here is determining the scope of QMS. So the scope here is the boundary. What are the applicable requirements that you need to fulfill? Any non-applicable that you would like to exclude it. What are the issues, interested parties, and what is your service of your organization? So here is one of these examples. So as you can see, this is one of these examples of scope where we can see, okay, this is something related to your company, and the profile and some introduction of your company. What are the scope? For example, what is the process and what are you doing? So the manufacturing, for example, manufacturing of electrical home appliances. And is there any not applicable? Yes. For example, in your organization, you do not do any design and development. So you exclude this clause and you give justification why you try to exclude this. So next here, 4.4 is on the quality management system and its processes. So just now we discussed on this process approach, right? So in this process approach, we know, okay, in our company, in our organization, we have many processes. So now, first we need to identify and how we implement this process in our organization. Next is also how we link the process and the linkage here to fulfill the PDCA cycle, to fulfill the quality management system. So now we definitely will have input, output, what are the criteria and what are the method used in this process? And is there any risk or opportunities? And making sure that we always maintain and retain the documents. So that's for clause 4. So in clause 5, it's on leadership. So in leadership, that's 3 parts. First is on the leadership and commitment. Secondly, policy. Third is on the organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities. So in 5.1, leadership and commitment. So we need to making sure that the top management shall demonstrate the leadership and commitment by first, the accountability, the effectiveness of your quality management system. Next, the quality of the quality policies, the objective that you establish. Integral part, more to the integration of your quality management system, or in short, we call it QMS, the requirements of QMS into your organization. So risk-based, by promoting risk-based approach thinking, where we try to identify, is there any risk in our organization? The resource, ensuring that we have the available and enough sufficient resources to support the management system. Communication, making sure that the communication internally and externally are effective. The result, which is the result from QMS, whether you achieve certain targets or not. Effective in engaging and directing the person to contribute to effectiveness of QMS. Improve, which we call it continual improvement, making sure that we keep on improving. And support, playing a role to support the management and support the department so that they achieve the targets. So next, we also talk about the customer focus. So we identified customer as one of our interested parties. So we know their needs and also their expectation. So they will provide you, for example, oh, I want my product to be this. So you need to fulfill it. So when they say, I hope that I can receive my product by next week. So these are their needs and expectations. So you need to fulfill customer focus so that we can enhance the satisfaction from customer. So in 5.2 in policy, so in QMS, we need to establish the quality policy. So in quality policy, it will actually demonstrate, first, we will talk about the strategy direction of your company, and it will provide a framework to your objective, making sure that you commit to satisfying your applicable requirements. And next is making sure that you include the commitment to continual improvement. So for quality policy, so this is one of the examples of quality policy where we can see, okay, we talk about meeting the needs and expectations from our customer. We ensure that we will continually improve, making sure that our system is effective, comply to customer and QMS requirements. So when you have design, okay, we include creatively in designing of new product. So this is more to also fulfilling the needs from the customers and also making sure that we continually improve. So for this document, we need to make sure that we maintain and communicate to within the organization, for example, to your employees, making sure that they know about this policy as they are one of these personnel that we need to work together to improve our quality in our organization. So they need to know and they need to understand and apply it into their work. So this will be the general direction of your organization in terms of achieving the quality policy, the quality service and the product. So in 5.3, it's about organizational roles and responsibilities and also authorities. So we know in this, we need to identify what are the organization structure, who are the members in QMS to help in monitoring the management system, and what are their responsibilities. So for example, definitely you will have something like this organizational chart. Okay, so these are one of these examples of, okay, what are the positions? For example, the admin HR manager. These are the roles and responsibilities for them. Okay, you have requirement where they need to be the qualification and experience for this person to get this position. So this, we call it job description also. Okay. And also, we also have QMS team. So QMS team is a team of people that help to monitor whether the management system here is effective or not. So this is the chart, organization chart for QMS team, and the job description of all these team members here. So we have managing director, management representative, .con, document controller, someone that checking on whether the risks and opportunities are updates, internal audit, training coordinator, customer satisfaction, supplier monitoring, data analysis. So for clause 6, so clause 5 that just now we talked about the introduction and how the management, what are the roles of this management to support the organization so that we can fulfill the needs and expectations from the interested parties. So now we try to plan what to do and how to do to fulfill the requirements. So in planning, we have 3 topics. We have clause 6.1, the action to address risks and opportunities. 6.2, the quality objective and planning to achieve them. 6.3 is on planning changes. So in 6.1, Just now in clause 4, we talked about what are the internal and external issues. So in that place, we already identified, oh, we have this issue, we have this risk or any opportunities that we can grab. So now in 6.1, what we want to do is we try to plan how to make this risk to be reduced, or what we can do to grab the opportunities. So in this, we can achieve improvement and also enhance the desirable effects if we plan it well and accordingly. So in planning of this, we need to also identify how significant is this issue. For example, we identified the external issue here. So this is the external issue. For example, the China market issue. China customer requests for China import requirements comply. So you know, oh, in order for you to grab these opportunities to export your product to China, you need to fulfill certain legal requirements in China. So you know, this will be your opportunities and you want to comply to the requirements. So the probability here, how high is the probability here and how serious it is? How severe is this? Or for example, if this is an opportunity, so you know, oh, if we have the sales from China, we will have many business coming in. So you know, okay, we need to grab this opportunity. So we know this is very significant. What are the action that you need to do? So this is the action. Then you need to plan accordingly. Who is the person in charge? Definitely, because we need to know who will be the one that monitor and also review the whole process, making sure that we achieve the target. And definitely we will have a target date so that we know in this year, for example, in this year, we are able to fulfill all the requirements from China and we were able to export our product to China by the end of this year. So one is for 6.1 on the action to address the risks and opportunities. So 6.2 here is on the quality objective and the planning to achieve them. So just now we already set our quality policy where it will be a framework, a general direction of the organization so that how you want to do and how you can to achieve the quality product or service. So this will be a details on the objective. So this objective may be different from year by year. So making sure that the quality policy, the quality objective that you set shall be consistent with the policy, something that able to measure, measurable, take into account for applicable requirements, be relevant to the conformity of products and services. You need to monitor it, making sure that you communicate the policy, the objective, and also update as appropriate. For example, you achieve the objective already. So you try to amend and update the objective so that you can continuously improve from year by year. So example here, example of quality objective. So you see sales and marketing department to achieve sales target increase by 10% compared with previous year. So as you can see, this objective here is measurable because we know, okay, the compare quantity here is increased by 10%. And we have a timeline here, compare with previous year. So this is a quality objective that is measurable. So in planning the quality objective, we can actually think of these 5 items. So first is what will be done, what resources that we require so to achieve the objective, who will be responsible. So this one is the person in charge that we mentioned just now, the person in charge. Then when the target date, the deadline, when will this objective achieve and completed, and how the result will be evaluated. So if our objective here is measurable, it's realistic, it's measurable, specific, achievable, and time-bound, then we will able to evaluate our result. So this is the objective action plan. So for example, you set these 3 objectives here. Then you see, okay, to reduce the production reject by 5% for this year. So what are the actions that you need to do to reduce? Of course, to make sure that the machine maintenance is there and you have training. Who is the person in charge? What is the target date? So this is the objective action plan, where a document to wrap up what are you going to do to achieve your quality objective. So next, coming into 6.3, planning of changes. So in planning of changes, definitely in organization, there will be changes day by day or month by month, right? So if there's changes, you need to plan well so that the process will be systematic and smooth. So when you try to plan, you need to consider the purpose of the change, why you want to change this, and what are the risks, potential consequences, potential risks that you need to face. Then the integrity of QMS, whether, and also the availability of resources. Do you need to have more manpowers or more tools or equipments? And also, who is responsible to this? So that's for planning part. So for the planning part, we already covered what are the planning action for the risks and opportunities. Also, how the planning to address and to fulfill your objective. And also when you have changes and you need to plan for those changes. So what are the key elements that you need to highlight? So after you plan, you need to know what are the support that you have, and do you need more resources for that? So in course 7 support, we have 5 topics. One is 7.1 resources, then competence, awareness, communication, and also documented information. So in 7.1 resources, firstly, we need to identify and determine whether we provide sufficient resources needed to establish, implement, or maintain, and also the continual improvement of QMS. And if it's not sufficient, definitely you need to consider purchase more equipments or hire more manpower to support the implementation of your quality management system. So in resources, we have people as one of our resource here. So these people, you need to identify whether you have sufficient operators, for example, to achieve your expectation from the customer, whether you can produce and you can actually send out the product to your customer by the date, the delivery date that's set by the customer. Next, infrastructure. So you shall determine and provide and maintain the infrastructure for the operation. So the infrastructure here includes the building, the factory, or the office, or the warehouse that you have, the building. So you need to maintain the infrastructure, the equipment, hardware or software equipment, transportation. If you have transporting activities in your company, and any information and communication technology. So in order for you to maintain, so in for example, in production, you have many machines and you have equipment. So in order for you to provide a better service or quality service, you need to make sure that your machines are always ready and it's performing at its most efficiency way. So we will have preventive maintenance where you plan how frequent you need to do maintenance to your machine so that they are always ready to perform their work. So this is one of the forms that you can implement. So you know, okay, maybe the machine you need to do the preventive maintenance, or we call it PM, monthly or twice a month. So normally this one you can actually refer to your suppliers. They will actually provide some advice to you. Or if that is related to certain legal requirements, so making sure that you fulfill to the legal requirement for the frequency of preventive maintenance. So next is also the resource on environment for the operation of processes, making sure that you provide and make the environment which is good for your employees. So in this suitable environment, there's three factors. There's social, psychological, and also physical. Not only providing a suitable environment to your employees, also providing a suitable environment for your production. For example, in this production, you need to have temperature requirement here. Maybe in a cold room, maybe you need to provide a temperature where it's less than 10 degrees Celsius, for example. So how you maintain the environment of the location or the workstation so that it will always below less than 10 degrees Celsius. So this is one of the things that you shall determine and provide and also maintain in your environment. So next is on monitoring and measuring resources. So monitoring, you need to know, oh, if you have, just now we talked about machines, so you do maintenance. But if you have some tools that is included in measuring, so if the tools here, you didn't calibrate it accordingly, it may cause error and it will affect your output, your products. So in 7.1.5, we talked about calibration. So for example, if you are in this construction, you will have a lot of measurable items, measurable tools. So for example, the most common one, measuring tape. So you need to send your measuring tape for calibration so that you know each time, every time you use your measuring tape, the reading is within the acceptable error range. So now you can try to brainstorm. Oh, is there any tools that you have in your organization that you need to send for calibration? So you can list down and record it, maintain the documents. So after you send for calibration, you will have certs. So the certs, you need to keep it, maintain it. So making sure that the lab, your tools that you send for calibration, the lab, it's a credible lab and it's certified and verified. So they will also provide you some stickers that you can actually stick and paste on your tools so that you're able to track, okay, this is the date of the calibration, when is the last calibration date, and when you need to send this, when is the due date. So you need to document it appropriately. So next is on organizational knowledge. So this is the knowledge that is necessary in your organization. For example, in order for you to work in this environment where you need to deal with certain machines, these operators need to go for training. So they need to know this knowledge. How you make sure that they have this knowledge and you share the knowledge. So this is what we talk about in organization knowledge. And also, is there any additional knowledge that you need to input to them? for updates, for example, if you purchase a new machine, a new model, then you need to make sure that, oh, they know how to access to this new machine, this new model machines, how they work with this machine, and what they need to always highlight and take care of. So for organization knowledge, there will be internal sources and also external sources. So internal here is more to the intellectual properties, knowledge or experience that you gain. For example, when you have a new operator coming in, so the supervisor will actually, as the teacher for these operators, so that they can learn from the experience of this supervisor. So external sources here, for example, the standards, conference, or gathering the knowledge from the customer or any external provider. So let's watch one.
So, you have an organization with experienced people.
Okay, now. So if you cannot hear it clearly, you can actually voice out. So let's watch a video on
So,
organizational.
you have an organization with experienced people. In fact, the stuff they do is so essential to your business that if they walk out the door, you have a big problem. Now, you can hire replacements, but they are often inexperienced, meaning your productivity will drop, while more experienced people are often too expensive, not to mention buying and integrating technology solutions. So, how can you keep that critical expertise in your organization? Introducing IntroTo Knowledge. This is how we work. First, we identify the most important expertise of the key people in your organization. Those secret ingredients, like that sales guy who knows every client's birthday by heart. Then we find ways for your employees to share their knowledge with colleagues. For example, by discussing what works and what doesn't. Next, we make sure that knowledge will remain in your organization for the future as well, such as setting up systems or groups that continually share experiences. We also think of ways for your employees to work with existing knowledge, so you don't waste time on reinventing the wheel. And then, leave you to it? Absolutely not. We can partner up for the long term. This way we keep on monitoring the expertise in your organization and make sure it continues to flow. Splendid. IntroTo Knowledge. Working smarter.
Okay, so from the video just now, as you can see, if we try to invest and we hire a new employees coming in, they are fresh and they don't know anything. So now it's how you maintain the organizational knowledge in your company. So sometimes we will establish work instruction. So when there is someone coming in, which is fresh or new, you can actually refer back to the work instruction, how to do this job. Okay, and also you monitor and make sure that they go into training and also they know how to do this, you monitor them. So these are what we talk about organizational knowledge. So if we implement this, the knowledge will be in your organization and it will not be going away when someone leave the organization, leave your company. Okay, next, 7.2 is on competence. So competence is more to the training section where we need to know if for this personnel to take up this job, is there any competence that they need in terms of the education, training, or experience? So the competence here is not only on this, we call it competent person, it's also on how competent of this person is to perform the routine job. So if you have someone coming in to do designing, for example, is this person able to design well? And do this person know how to use the software to design? And next, do they need any training yearly to make sure that they always know what they are doing and they know the latest knowledge from this field? So this is what we talk about in 7.2, competence. So in order for us to make sure that our employees are competent enough, as the competency of these people will affect the performance and effectiveness of our quality management system. So this is where we need to plan so that they are always skilled. So we need to plan the training yearly and also make sure that, after they go for this training, is this activity effective or not? Okay, so now, example here, annual training plan. You can actually establish a form like this so that you have annual training. You mark down, okay, what are the trainings that you need in this year? When are you going to make this training happen? And remarks, maybe you can put, for example, who are these employees or any departments or any concerned person. Then after they go for training, making sure that they have attendance and they have certs also. Some training, they may not have cert, but making sure that you have attendance to support that, okay, this person went through this training so that you can keep track whether they are competent or not. Next up is on the training evaluation. So you need to evaluate them so that you know, okay, how is the training progress and whether it's effective or not. So you will evaluate them according to the rating system that you establish. You can use ABCD, or you can use numbering for the rating. And you can also have your own guidance of rating also. So according to that, you can evaluate your employees and you know whether they are competent enough or whether they need to have more trainings and what you need to do to make sure that they are competent in their job. So 7.3 is on awareness. So in awareness, we need to make sure that the employees are always aware what are the latest quality policy in the organization. Next, is there any relevant quality objectives that they need to know? So as they know what are the policy, which is the direction of the company and the target they need to achieve, so they will know what are the contribution that they need to do, what are the things they need to do, so that they help the company to achieve and making sure that the quality management system is effective. And also the implication of non-conforming with quality management system requirement. So if there is any non-conforming, also the same, what are the contribution that they need to know, they need to do, and what are the things that they need to perform so that the non-conforming will not be happening again. So in 7.4, it's on communication. So communication, we will have two types of communication, which is internal and also external communication. So internal communication will be the communication within your organization. And for external, it's your communication between you and your customer, you and authorities, or you and your vendor, suppliers, or subcon. So when we want to do communication, we need to know what will be communicated, what are the topic, when, today, tomorrow, year, weekly, monthly, daily, with whom, who is the person that you want to communicate with, and how, through what, through phone call, through emails, or through WhatsApp, or any media. So for communication, it is important as in the communication is effective, the message will be transferred accordingly. If it is not effective, so the breakdown will occur. For example, you would like to communicate with your customer. So the customer will send you email about, what are their requirements? What are they expected from the product? And the sales personnel will pass the message to purchasing, for example, because they may need to purchase certain items. So if the communication, internal communication breakdown between sales and purchasing, meaning that the information is not transferred accordingly. So the purchasing personnel may purchase the wrong material, may purchase wrong quantity also, which will cause maybe you purchase too much quantity for the production, or it's too less. If it's too less, you need to take time to purchase again, and it will drag the whole production process. So making sure that the communication within your organization and also the external communication, it's smooth and it's effective. So you need to implement certain forms or any platform so that you can pass the message accordingly and in a more effective way. So 7.5 is on documented information. So just now in terms and definition, we talk about documented information. It's the document that you have in your company, which such as the SOP, the standard operating procedure, or your work instructions, or all your records. So in this documented information, we need to making sure that we always maintain and retain our document. Next is on creating and updating. Now, if we have a new version or a new revision of your documents, how you communicate within the organization, making sure that everyone know, okay, this is the new revision and everyone is access to this new revision. So in creating and updating, so we will have like certain identification or any description to identify this is the latest revision. Is there any format that you want to implement in your documents? Media, for example, hard copy, or you choose soft copy electronic documents. Other than that, stamping. So if you, for example, you have a SOP revision 1. So after 2 years, after you review, you think, okay, the SOP need to be updated. So now you need to make sure that everyone that is related to this SOP update as well. What are the latest document and what are the latest procedure? So we can actually make use of this stamping. So master copy here, it's the original copy. We call it original copy. And control copy is where you try to distribute some sets of documents to certain departments. So this personnel will have the control copy, and control copy here is when you already update a latest revision, you need to make sure that this department, these people will also get the latest copy. So this is control copy. So uncontrolled copy is normally where we distribute these copies to external people. So meaning that if you have a latest document, it is not necessary for you to update them accordingly. So obsolete is where you have a control copy and the revision, it's previous revision is not the updated revision. So you need to make sure that you collect back the old revision control copy and you stamp obsolete so that you identify this is the obsolete copy and this is not the latest copy. So this is a way where how you make sure that the creating and updating system of your document is there. So control of documented information. So make sure that you know where is the document and it is available when you need it, and make sure that you protect it adequately, because some of this SOP or work instruction there is actually confidential and it may have some privacy thing. For example, when it comes to HR part, maybe there is some information of the employees. So make sure that you control it and the confidentiality is there. Okay. And also when you have distribution of your control copy, So you definitely, if you have a list of documents, it will be easier for you to track back, okay, who you send, who you give this control copy, and you know when you want to do update, you can refer to who. So you can also have these records, we call it document distribution records, where you know, okay, you have this revision. So this revision, this document, you send to who as a control copy. So when you have the latest revision, you know, okay, for example, you send to 3 different departments. So you know, okay, I need to update these 3 departments when I have this latest revision. Okay, next. So in operation, it will come into the process in your company. So just now we already know what are the support to your operation. So in operation, we will have 7 topics. First is on your planning and how you control your operation. And next, what are the requirements for your product and services? The design and development of the product, control of externally provided processes, products and services, production and services provision, release of products and services, and also control of non-conforming output. Okay, so in 8.1, operational planning and control. In planning, in order for you to plan the operation, you need to have a general planning. So this is a quality plan. So in quality plan, we know we have all the processes. For example, when the first process is incoming raw materials, then go the next process, roll forming, stamping, final inspection, packing, storage, delivery. So these are the process that you have in your organization. So for all these processes, is there any item that you need to check? For example, when you have a raw material coming in, you have quantity, you need to check whether the quantity is correct. The size or the spec, is it okay? And also the appearance, will you visual check it? Oh, is it the appearance of the raw material is good or not? And is there any damage that you found or faulty? And next, we need to identify what is the method that you use to check this item. By measuring, or you check their certs, or you just use visual checking. Then if you have measuring, definitely you will have equipment. So what are the equipment that you will use? And next, sample size. Do you consider any sampling to check, or you check everything? Parameters. Is there any tolerance, or do we have any reference for the parameter that you need to check? Person in charge. Who is the one that doing this checking job? Records. Any records that is included when you do checking. For example, the size. When you check the size, you know, okay, I need to measure it. So when I will need to measure it, I need to use a measuring tape. Now you know you need to use a measuring tape. Definitely, you need to make sure that the measuring tape is within the is calibrated accordingly. Because if your measuring tape is not calibrated, meaning that the measuring here may have error, because we need to know what are the parameters. So we know the tolerance is 2 millimeter. So if you have error in your measuring tape, meaning that the final parameter here and the final reading of the measuring may actually exceed the tolerance range. So who is the one that checked? Okay, store personnel. So, and you have a raw material records. So you record down, okay, these are the materials that I received, and this is the size, And after checking, it's within our tolerance error. So this is example of quality plan. So in quality plan, we need to determine the requirements of the product. For example, just now the parameters, the requirement of the raw materials, establish the criteria and for processes and the acceptance of the product service, determine the resource needed, the equipment that we need to use, implement control of the process, determine and keep the documented information. So meaning that the document here need to be kept. Next, 8.2. 8.2 here is on requirements for products and services. So for this, first we talk about communication, customer communication. So we need to know what are the requirements from the customer so that we can actually set the requirements for our services also. So when we have this communication with the customer, we shall also include first the information relating to the products, the inquiries or contracts or order, and also obtaining feedback and complaint from the customer. If you need to handle and control your customer properties, for example, if your organization is doing servicing, so the customer may send their machines or equipment to your company, and you will need to keep this property, customer property, in your place. So how you handle and control the customer property, making sure that you won't mix up, and if you then service it, you will have certain recording. Establishing specific requirements for contingency plan. So you need to have a backup plan. What to do if, for example, if something bad happened in your company, maybe fire, so it may cause destroy to your customer properties. What is the contingency plan? So this is what you need to communicate with your customer. So next, we need to also determination of the requirements related to the products and services. So first, definitely you need to know what are requirements from the customer. Next, is there any legal requirements that you need to fulfill for that particular product or services? So if yes, you need to determine it and make sure that you meet the requirement set. Making sure that you review the requirements. So this is more to a quality check. And when it comes to product, you review the quality, the product, whether it fulfills the customer requirement, or you review the product or services that you provide, whether it fulfills the compliance from the legal part or any authorities. So make sure that you review and it's ready. Only you send the product or the service to your customer. So that one is for 8.2. So 8.3 on design and developments of product and services. So in this part, it's only applicable when your organization have design activity. So now what is design activities? Design is when you try to amend something from the requirement from the customer, or the customer tell you some requirement, so you design it. For example, you are doing you are helping your customer to create a mold. So you have a raw design from the customer, and the customer may actually give you some input on what you need to amend from that design. So this also considered as a design and development process. The most obvious one is where you have R&D in your company. Definitely there will be a design and development. Okay, so these are the activities that is included in design and developments of products and services, which makes you need to apply 8.3 and it's applicable to your organization. So first is you need to establish, implement, and also maintain the design process. That's the SOP lah, the standard procedure, how you maintain it. And next, when you want to do design, you need to plan the design. Is there stages for your design? If yes, you determine out what are the stages that you have in the designing. And also the control, how you control the design process. So this is the general planning, design plan. Next, input. You need to know what are the inputs for your design. For example, you have the design from the customer, or you have your previous design for reference. If you need to fulfill to certain standards or legal requirements, so these are the input to your design, as well as the past failure. It will be a reference for you so that you can avoid this failure when you have the design. Now you know what are the inputs. Next, you need to have control. When you do design review, you need to make sure that the process is tally with the output. So you need to review and you need to verify it or validate it. Next, when the design is completed, meaning that, for example, the drawing is done, and this drawing will be your output. You need to know whether your output is tally with your input. So you need to compare. Is your design meeting the customer requirements or any standards or legal requirement? If the customer requirement has certain spec or criteria or measurement, is the design fulfilling these requirements? And is it adequate or is it applicable when you want to use this design for the production? So this is on design and development outputs. So next is on changes. So definitely when we have design process, there will be changes from time to time. Changes can be when you have a revision of your design and you notice, okay, this is not that applicable when you want to mass product this product. So you need to have changes, or your customer have additional requirements. So you make changes according to the requirement from your customer. So when you have changes, you need to identify what are the changes. You need to review and make sure you control the changes, as in ensuring that the changes won't affect the product conformity. Make sure that the product is within, there's no adverse impact to the conformity of the requirements. So this is how you control the changes. And when you review the changes, make sure that you have levels of review. You review it, then your supervisor review it. So it's not that you are the one that only make the decision. So you review, and also when you have the outputs, make sure that the customer agree with the outputs. So that's for 8.3. So for 8.4, control of your external provider processes, product, or service. So now you can think of who are these external providers in your company? So the external provider will be your vendor, your suppliers, or your subcon. So these are the external provider. So how you want to control it? When you want to control it, it will actually we will actually link it to, is there any criteria of you? The criteria of the evaluation or selection. And when we talk about controlling, there will be monitoring process also. So when you have a new supplier, how you make sure that this new supplier fulfill your requirements. So you need to monitor and evaluate them accordingly. And you select them. So once you evaluate them and you think, okay, after this evaluation process, we know, okay, this external provider fulfill to our process and fulfill our requirements. So it will be in our approved subcon list, for example, approved external provider list. So you will identify who is this supplier, the details, for example, address, the phone number or the contact person, because when we want to contact them, we need to know this few information. So you need to list down this information. And also, what are the service that this provider provide to you? Is it raw material? Is it maintenance, servicing? So you can actually highlight this in your list so that when in the future, when you try to look for some servicing company, you can actually look from your approved external provider first, whether you have this list of provider that can provide you this service. So this is the approved external provider. So now you already know you have this approved external provider. In order you to control and make sure that they always fulfill your requirements, you need to have monitoring of performance. So when you want to monitor, you definitely know what are the criteria from you. And when you want to monitor, you can actually monitor yearly. For example, you have the company name, address. So these are the details from your supplier. So when you monitor it yearly. Okay, what is the ranking for you for the quality of the product this year? The price, the delivery, whether their delivery is on time or not, the services, and what are the scores here? And is it under good category or average or poor service? So after you evaluate it, then you know whether you want to maintain them as your supplier, as your subcon or not. If you realize, oh, their service is actually quite poor and quite bad, so you can actually reason out, okay, you won't continue their service as their service is not achieving your expectations. So these are the documents that you can use for the monitoring. So when you have new suppliers, you also need to evaluate them, whether they can take up the job as your supplier. So you can also evaluate them accordingly. Like what are the types of, you can get some information from them. What are the equipments, what are the products or service they provide? And do they have certain like quality management system? So why is this important? As in, you are providing a quality, you would like to provide a quality product and a quality service to your customer. Definitely, you hope that the external provider will also provide a quality service or a quality product to you. If not, you can't actually monitor the quality process well. So definitely, if they have a quality management system, it will be an additional point to your system. If not, you need to make sure that they always provide a quality service to you. So for this evaluation, you can decide whether, okay, the sample is always good and the price is okay for you and the service is okay, then you decide whether you want to put them in your approved supplier list or not. So this is for the new supplier. So for supplier, need to always ensure that for the new supplier, you need to evaluate them and you control your existing supplier by monitoring them so that they won't cause any adverse effect adverse effect to your company operation. So ensure that you always document and retain this document. So in 8.5 is on production and service provision. So when we talk about control of production and service provision, we will have we need to know what are the control conditions. For example, the availability of the documented information, monitoring measurement activities, the use of this suitable infrastructure. These are the things that you need to control. Is there any competent person that you need to have? Is there any validation process that you need to done so that you can achieve the result, the planned result? Implementation of action to prevent, and the implementation of the release or delivery of activities. So these are the examples of control condition. So when we talk about this control of the production, we can actually is to make sure that we reduce the mistake and also we reduce the error. So this is one of the way where we call it okayoke. It's mistake proving. So this from here we can see from this control we can actually ensure that this mistake will not occur. For example, when we are going to petrol station to pump petrol. So if you notice this cover, there is a string here that link. So why they implement this? Because sometimes when we open up the cover and maybe we put on top of our car, on top of our vehicle, when we finish pump the petrol, then we forget to close back. So when we have this string tying on this cover to our vehicle, so when we close the cap, we know, oh, something it's hanging out there, and it actually reminds us to close back. And also, for example, this one, the shape here, we want to put this shape into this mold. We want to put this product into this mold. So we have the shape here, making sure that you always put the right thing into this mold. So for example, if you want to fit this star into this circle, it's not able to do it lah. So this is one of the way where you control it and make sure that there's no error happening. So normally here we will actually do it in our designing when we want to design the product. So we will include this pokayoke so that we reduce the error and the risk. So next is on identification and traceability. When we want to provide a quality service, we need to make sure that at all processes, we are providing the best quality that we can provide. So when non-conformance happen, if we track for all the processes, we're able to trace back at which point something wrong is happening. So this is why identification and traceability is important for you to make sure that you're able to identify the root cause as soon as possible. Okay, so now traceability. This is one of the common system that use for traceability, for example, barcode system. So when something wrong with this product and you complain to the store, so they can actually scan the barcode, then they will know, okay, what is this product, when is from which suppliers, and all the information, so that they can actually trace back the history. Next, for example, that we commonly see in our food container. So they will have this manufacturing date and also expiry date. So why is it important to have this manufacturing date? Because when they have this manufacturing date can also as a batch identification. So if one of the product at this manufacturing date have non-conformity, they can actually trace back the manufacturing date of this product, and this batch may have similar error. So this is about traceability. So in our process, the document is there, and we maintain and retain the documents well, and we make sure that for each of this process, quality check is done, and the person is identifiable. Then we know when something wrong, who can we refer to for the reasoning, and also we are able to identify what are the root cause. So property belonging to customer and external provider. So when just now we talk about customer property, now we talk about also including these external provider properties. So external provider properties here, the most common one is photostat machine or printing machine, where you rent the machine from providers and you use it in your company. So this is also considered as a property belonging to the external provider. So when you have this property, you need to identify, verify, and make sure that you maintain and protect this property to reduce any damage. So, and also if you need to have maintenance, so what is a communication process? So this is more to how you ensure that the property of your customer and the external provider is safe in your premise. So 8.5.4, it's on preservation. So when we talk about preservation, it's more to warehouse and store. So we need to make sure that the output, when we store it, it's according to the requirements, and the handling is proper, and you have contamination control. Make sure that contamination is not happening in your storage, and the finished product is protected from any contamination or any damage. So in this preservation, we can also implement pest control. As in certain product, it will be very sensitive on this pest control thing, or maybe the environment of your company, the environment of your workplace will have certain pests. So how you make sure that you handle it and the control of contamination is there. So you can also implement pest control so that you preserve the output. And for post-delivery activities, so post-delivery activities is where you already send out the product to your customer and you have service after that. So normally we include also like warranty. So if your product have 3 years of warranty, so the warranty is actually under these post-delivery activities. So when you have these activities, you need to consider, is there any statutory and regulatory requirements? Or is there any potential undesired consequence that you may face for that? How you want to bear with the consequence? And also we need to consider the nature, use, and intended lifetime of the product or services into the post-delivery activities. That one is more to the activities done for related to more to this warranties thing or maintenance. Another type of post-delivery activities is when customer have feedbacks to you. So this feedback here is also considered in post-delivery activities. So this feedback to you can actually improve your process when you take into your consideration. So 8.5.6, it's on control of changes. So now, just now we talk about planning of changes. You plan it when you have changes. But now, when you want to control it, you make sure that what are the key items that you need to review when you have changes. Is there necessary action that you need to take when you have these changes? When you have changes, is there any legal requirements that you need to fulfill? So this is what you need to consider it when you have changes, and how you make sure that you control the changes, and these changes can be implemented accordingly by before the deadline. So you need to retain the documented information. Who describing like the review of the changes? Who is the authorized person? Is there any additional action that you need to follow up for these changes? So that is for 8.5. So for 8.6, it's on release of products and services. So when we want to release our product, we need to plan. We need to plan so that, okay, we able to know, okay, for today, we need to release how many products, and the destination of this product is to where. So you shall also implement the plan arrangement at appropriate stage to verify that products and service requirements have been met. So also, when we release the product, we need to do verification, make sure that QC pass, meaning that the quality check is there and the product is according to the requirement and it's okay to send out to your customer. So for all this, definitely you have documents. When you do QC check, maybe you have a checklist. So if there's a person that doing this QC check, maybe you have a signature or there's an identification of who is the person that do this checking. So these are the evidence. So when you have any conformities, what is the next step when you want to release the product? So you can trace back. So the document here is actually helping in the evidence and also the traceabilities. When something non-conformance happen after you release the product, you are able to trace back. So 8.7. 8.7 is on control of non-conforming product. So just now we talk about releasing the product. So when we want to release, we will do QC check, also final check, final inspection. So at that point, maybe you found out, oh, there's some non-conforming output, or maybe in between the process, in between the production, there is non-conforming output. So how are you going to deal with this non-conforming output? Definitely, you need to do correction. You need to correct it so that this will not happen. Segregation. For example, when you do QC check, you notice, okay, for this batch of the product, there is certain models that is some non-conforming. So how you segregate it with labeling or any other method so that you are able to identify, okay, this is the product that passed QC check. These are the products that you need to identify what are the issues that cause this non-conforming. And when we have some non-conforming after release, you also need to make sure that you inform the customer and obtaining the authorization for the acceptance under concession. So this is the ways that you can actually deal with non-conforming product. So when we have non-conforming products, non-conforming outputs, we need to have documented information. Why? Because we need to identify what are the root cause and what are the correction that done immediately, and what are the preventive action that we need to take in charge, that we need to take into control, so that this will not happen again. So when we have non-conforming, for example, some way of identification. When we talk about green color, then we know it's actually pass. Yellow, maybe it's on hold product, on hold outputs. Then red, it will be reject. So these are the colors that you can actually implement in your system. For example, okay, it's a green chalk, green stamp with QC pass. So directly we are able to identify, or if we saw this, then we know this is the batch of the products that is QC pass. Scrap, when we notice that is output that is non-conforming, we segregate it and maybe we decide to scrap it. So you have a labeling to show the identification, to have this identification. So next, on the performance and evaluation. So now we already plan the activities and we already do the activities. Now we would like to check whether the performance is achieving our target or not. So in performance evaluation, we have 3 topics: monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. Next is on internal audit, and 9.3, management review. So in 9.1, monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. We shall determine what is needed to be monitored or measured. So we start to think back from the starting. Anything that we need to monitor or measure. Objective? Yes, we need to monitor and measure our objective performance result. For example, if you have equipment that you need to go for calibration, you need to monitor it. Or in your process, your production process, there is certain thing that you need to monitor it. You monitor the product, the output, for example. So any other things, for example, when you have preventive maintenance, you need to monitor, making sure that, preventive maintenance is there. Or if you have any internal or external issue, your risks and opportunities, you need to monitor so that it achieves what you expected. So this is what is needed to be monitored, you identify. Next, what are the methods? Using analysis or any evaluation method, or you send for lab results, or any measurement. For what are the methods? When to perform. So if preventive maintenance, you already plan when you want to perform the maintenance. So you monitor. Okay, you plan it. Maybe every quarter. So you plot into your schedule, preventive maintenance schedule. Okay, every quarter. Then you monitor, is the preventive maintenance done or not? So you are using the same schedule to monitor back, and you plot again. Okay, what is the actual date? Or your training plan. You already planned the training, so you monitor it whether the training is there. So you will plot accordingly. So that one is when to perform. When the results shall be analyzed and evaluated. So normally we will analyze maybe end of the year, or before the management review, before the internal audit, or any specific timeline. So when you need to determine when you shall analyze and evaluate the result. So when we evaluate it, we need to evaluate the performance and the effectiveness in quality management system. So making sure that all this document is all retained. As you can see, it's important that we retain the documented information as the evidence for the result. So another thing that we need to monitor is customer satisfaction. So when we have customer satisfaction, if we gather it and analyze it, it can actually help us to improve our process, to improve our satisfaction. So we have customer satisfaction. So for customer satisfaction, you can actually have forms or a checklist for your customer. So they can actually rate you based on your performance, the quality of your product, the delivery, whether it's delivered on time or not, the service that you provide to your customer. So the rating here will actually help you to know what is the satisfaction level of your customer to your service. So by this, with this data, you can actually know what are the issues that you need to deal with, that you need to face, that you need to solve, and any improvement that you can make from the feedbacks and also the satisfaction survey from your customer. So the examples here of monitoring customer perception, customer survey, then customer feedback on the delivered product and services, meeting with customer, market share analysis, compliments, warranty claim, or dealer reports. So you can see warranty claims. Now, why we can actually use this as one of the example of monitoring customer perception. One thing is that when you notice the warranty claim, it's more for this model, for example, meaning that they may have some spec or some non-conformance in that product that you previously didn't notice. So it can actually help you to identify and improve your product. So 9.1.3, analysis and evaluation. So in this part, we shall actually analyze and evaluate appropriate data and information arising from monitoring. So when we have monitor process, after we monitor, we need to have one data for the final result. What are the conclusions for this monitoring? So the result analysis will include the degree of customer satisfaction, the performance and effective of QMS, if the planning has been implemented effectively. So we can know after we analyze, oh, it's effective or not. Any the action that we taken to address the risk and opportunity, whether it's effective or not. So from the result, we can able to know. And also the performance of external provider, which is from the monitoring of your suppliers. Needs of improvement to your quality management system. So maybe from the customer feedback, maybe from your customer survey. So you're able to know anything that you need to improve for your organization. Maybe also some feedback from internally from the employees. From the non-conformance report also, you can able to identify any needs for improvement. So 9.1, we finish on the monitoring, measurement, or evaluation. So 9.2, now after you establish everything, you need to make sure that you have internal audit. So internal audit is unlike QC, QA, QC. So QA, QC is only where you check whether your product is according to the requirement and is there any non-conforming of your product. But internal audit, it will cover everything, not only your product. It will cover the communication of your company, the direction of the company, and is there any non-conformings between or in the process. So it's not only covered the product, it's also covered the whole requirement of your company and whether you fulfill the requirement. So when we do internal audit, we shall plan the plan interval, meaning that if you plan to do internal audit yearly, so it will be around 12 months, plus minus 12 months. If you plan to have more internal audit, for example, twice a year, meaning that your internal audit will be carried out around plus minus 6 months. Okay, so you need to plan it and make sure that when you do internal audit, it needs to conform to your own requirements. So the own requirements here relate, which will include maybe your standard operating procedure, whether the one that implement on site is actually fulfilling your own SOP or your own requirements of your product, the requirements of the international standards. For example, ISO 9001. So do you, for example, they will talk about Oh, calibration. Do you fulfill the requirements in calibration? Do you send your equipment for calibration? So the requirements of these international standards. Other than that, also certain requirements because when you deal with customer, you need to fulfill to customer requirements. So this will be things that you need to confirm when you do internal audit. So this internal audit can actually help you implement and maintain your system in a more effective way, as in through internal audit, you were able to identify any non-conformance, any breakdown that occurs between the process. So this document need to be maintained and retained. So now, when we talk about internal audit, we need to know who is the person in charge and who are these, what are their responsibilities. So you will have a audit team. So these people will actually plan, establish, implement the audit program. So they will do the reporting, and the result will need to be reported to the relevant management. And when you found out there is non-conformance or corrective action, so you need to solve it and close the NC, non-conformance, or we call it CAR, corrective action reports. So make sure that you retain the documents. If you have any CAR, and you maintain and retain your audit plan, your audit notes, and the checklist or the summary report of your audit. So when we want to do audit, there will be a guideline, a guidance how to do audit. So that will be according to ISO 19001 when we want to do audit, how we want to do audit. So this is one of these example of corrective action requests. Okay, so inside here, you can see we can actually use this for your external provider, where you notice that there is non-conforming from your external provider. Internally, when you do internal audit, or you notice there is a non-corrective or non-conformance, or when you are during your operation time, you notice there is some process that you need to have CAR. So in this CAR, we will include which department, which area of audits, any reference of document, because definitely you need to have a criteria, only you able to identify the non-conformance. So for example, something wrong in the process where it is not tally and is not according to your SOP. So the reference document will be your SOP. So what are the findings? So what is the description for the non-conformance you need to write down? And what are the consequence of this non-conformance? So detected by who? So if we are doing internal audit, definitely detected by who will be detected by your internal auditor. So agreed by the auditee. Then now, you need to have identification for all this. So when you have non-conformance, you need to identify what are the root cause. So you can keep asking why this happened. Keep on asking why until you found the root cause. So correction here is the immediate action to reduce the non-conformings. And after this, we call this corrective action or preventive action. So this will be what you can implement in the future, like starting from now, so that this non-conformance will not be happening again. So you are doing correction to your root cause. And after you complete dealing with this correction, we need to verify whether it's effective or not. So you will decide whether you want to close this CAR or you are not satisfied. So this need to be verified again. So normally the verification will be done by the internal auditor if your non-conformance is found by the internal auditor. So After internal audit, it will go to management review. So for management review, it needs to be reviewed at a planned interval. So if you notice the planned interval here, so we will say at least once a year, you do this review for internal audit and the management review. And also the top management shall review the organization to ensure that it's suitable, whether the policy now is still suitable for your organization direction. Is it the adequacy of this QMS? Is it effective or not? And do we need to update certain items for continual improvement? So when we have management review, definitely there will be topics that we need to touch. So we call that review input. So when we have review input, we need to talk about this item, and this item need to be present in your meeting minutes. So we need to know status of action. So from the previous management review audit result, is there any open item from the previous management review? Changes in external and internal issues that are relevant to the QMS. So in clause 4, we talk about the internal and external issue. So is there any internal or external issue that you would like to update? Or is there any changes in your internal and external issue? So if yes, you need to present it in the management review. If no, still you need to include the changes in internal external issue topic in your management review to show that you reviewed this topic. So this is important, as in many companies will miss out this because they think, oh, there is no changes, so I will not include this topic in my meeting minutes. So when auditor come, you will notice you didn't review this input, the changes of internal and external issue. So next is on the information on the performance effect and effectiveness of QMS. So you need to review first your customer satisfaction. So you have customer survey form or customer satisfaction form. You need to analyze the data and what are the feedback from customers. So these are the items that you need to discuss and you need to present in management review. The extent to which quality objectives have been met. So we establish a quality objective and we have action taken. So you will have an update in the management review like, oh, is this objective met or not? What is the progress percentage? So you will show the analysis data regarding on the quality objective. Process performance and conformities. Non-conformities and corrective action. So is there any issue on this process conformance? Or is there any non-conformity found during your internal audit? Or if you have a customer audit, or any conformities that your customer sent to you. Maybe the customer sent you some non-conformance that you need to close. Then next, monitoring and measurement results. So this is to for example, your calibration, how many items that you need to send for calibration. So is this item calibrated or related to your infrastructure, your business license? What is the deadline? What is the expiry date? Is the license updated or not? Okay, so this is the monitoring and measurement results here. So next, audit result, your internal audit result, the previous internal audit that you covered just now. So what are the results? Is there any conformance or observation for improvement, or the whole process is smooth and fine? Next, performance of external provider. So you have monitoring of your suppliers. So you will present how good is their performance and what is the result of your monitoring. Is there any new suppliers then is there any suppliers that you decide to remove it? So you can actually discuss in your management review. The adequacy of the resources. Do you need any more manpowers? Is the store area is big enough for your storage? So the resources here include the people, infrastructures, so the tools, your equipments, then effectiveness of action taken to address risks and opportunities. So we have risk and opportunity. So we'll analyze similar like this quality objective where you analyze the progress. So you will also analyze the progress of your action taken to address your risks and opportunities. Okay, then also, is there any opportunities for improvement? So opportunities of improvement can be from your internal audit, or maybe some suggestion from the team members, suggestion from the employees, suggestion from your suppliers, customer, or any interested parties. So this is where you discuss on the opportunities for improvement. So you need to make sure that you review the input and you have the review output decision and also action to be taken to this item. And you need to retain documented information as the evidence. So this is one of these examples of management review minutes. So as you can see, the topics is here, and you review the description of the review and also the output. Who is the person in charge or department in charge? Okay. And most important is the attendance. Who attended the meeting? So this is the meeting minutes that you need to retain. So for clause 10, improvement. So for improvement, there will be 3 parts, which is 10.1, general, 10.2, non-conformity and corrective action, 10.3, continual improvement. So for this part, 10.1, the general part. So when we talk about improvement, we shall determine and select the improvement, the opportunities for improvement, implementation, necessary actions. So in the risk and opportunity register where you identify, or is there any opportunities that you can grab? So this is where you identify. Next, also in your management review, you talk about the improvement that can be done. Then you are identifying the improvement, the opportunities for improvement. So if you want to take this opportunity, so what is the plan for you? Do you have any action plan to meet the customer requirements and enhance the customer satisfaction? So this is on 10.1. So in this opportunities for improvement, it's include first, improving your products and service, correcting and preventing and reducing any undesired effects, and also improving your overall performance and effectiveness of your QMS. So another thing, when we talk about improvement, it can actually link back to your non-conformance. If you found out there is non-conformance, you need to take action to solve the issue. So in this stage, you are actually improving. Okay, so actually the improvement can be considered as also the correction and also the corrective action that you already taken. So 10.2, non-conformity and corrective action. So when you have non-conformity, which includes complaint internally or complaints from customers, so you need to react to the issue. So you need, as shown just now in the non-conformity corrective action report, CAR, you need to take action to correct it, the correction, and how you need to identify the root cause and how you deal with the consequences. So the most important is to eliminate the cause. So that's why you identified the root cause, and you have preventive action or corrective action to eliminate the root cause. So this is one of the way to identify root cause, or we can also call it fishbone diagram. So for this fishbone diagram, you can actually identify what are the issues, for example, from the material part. Okay, so is there any causes due to this material? Then you keep on asking why, and you try to get the root cause. And what are the effect? The effect here is the problem. So from this problem, you know, the problem can be caused by the manpower, method, machine, environment, or the materials. So you identify the root cause from here by doing the analysis. And when we are dealing with this, we need to implement the action where you identify, oh, okay, this is the non-conformance, and this is what we need to do. So you implement it, and you need to review, as we said, the corrective action. You need to review whether it's effective or not. You need to verify it. And if you have any risks and opportunities that written down, you need to make sure that you update the risks and opportunities. So whether it's completed or not, or any other new risks or new opportunities. Okay, so making sure that you retain the document, the result of the corrective actions, you need to document it. So this is also one of the example. So as you can see, this is actually a process corrective action request, or PCAR. So now, just now we saw one CAR. So it's not you can actually merge the corrective action request if you would like to, or if you feel that, oh, I separate it out, it's better for us to identify it, also can, no problem. But the main purpose here is actually to have the corrective action. So for this example here is actually similar with the CAR report that I shared just now. So where you can see, we identified the departments, the areas, what are the issues, the findings, is what are the root cause, and what we can do immediately to solve the issue, and the corrective action plan. So verification need to be done. So, and also make sure verified by who. So now, correction and corrective action. So I would like to throw a question to the floor. Correction. Do anyone can tell me the difference between correction and corrective action? Or anyone would like to share their experience in solving some problem that is related to the correction or corrective action? No? It's okay. So now you see, in this picture here, it's actually, you saw there's one bucket and the floor is wet, okay? So now, when you found this in your company, in your organization, what you need to do immediately is the correction. For example, when you found there's leaking from the ceiling, you take a bucket to store the water. And also you put a signage to make sure that everyone notice, okay, this area there's a leakage, and they won't actually fall down because of the slippery floor. So this is the correction. Now, we need to think of the corrective action. So we need to identify what are the root cause. So the root cause here is, oh, why is this leaking? Because there is some leakage from the pipe, for example. Why? Then we ask again, why is there leakage? Is there any maintenance done? Or is there any checking? Oh, then we notice, oh, the maintenance is not done. So this is why leakage may happen. So we identified the root cause. Now, the corrective action here is to solve the root cause. So we identified because of the maintenance issue. So we make sure that we include this in our preventive maintenance. And we have checking, monitoring, make sure that there will be no leakage happening again. So this is a way for us to close the issue. Okay, so next 10.3 on continual improvement. So continual improvement, it's we shall also continue improve the suitability, adequacy, and also the effectiveness of the QMS. So this is where just now we shared on, for example, you have some implementation in your corrective action, and you have some suggestions, or during the management review, you share your view on how to increase or make our QMS more effective. So during this stage, you shall also consider the result of analysis and evaluation. Okay, so this result and evaluation will help you as a backup or a data for the improvement, and also consider the output from management review to determine needs or opportunities that shall be addressed. For example, during your management review, you talk about the adequacy of resources, and you notice that, oh, that is many of your employees are doing an OT overtime quite frequently. And it's not because of the performance of the employee, but maybe it's because you have more sales. So you know, okay, now our resources is not enough. We need to have more manpower. So this is where you consider the output from your management review. So you take the opportunities and you try to hire more manpower to your organization. So this is the continual improvement that can be considered. So before that one is the whole requirement for ISO 9000. So now, how and what you can do for you to certify for ISO 9000. Firstly, of course, you need to have a commitment from the leadership commitment, and you need to know, you need to choose who is the representative, or we can say the team leader lah. And you need to implement who are the team members that can actually try to help in establishing ISO 9000 in your company. So after you have the resource here, you need to go for training, education. Okay, so you will know these are the things that or you need to fulfill in your requirements. So this is what I need to do. Then you have organizational awareness. So because when we want to implement something in your company, it's not only that these team members need to aware, the whole organization, the employees, everyone need to aware with these changes. That's why you need to have organizational awareness. You try to brief your employees. These are our policies and this is our objective. This is what we need to do. And next, documentation structure. When we want to have a consistent or a proper process, you need to have a proper SOP or a work structure, work instruction, so that the organizational knowledge is there. So you need to have documents, some SOP, for example, the standard procedure of doing internal audit, the standard procedure for sales department or marketing department, standard procedure for purchasing or store, standard procedure in your production. So this is the document. So once you have the documents, you can actually start to choose who are the certification body that you would like to approach. That's lots of certification body out there. So these are the third-party auditors that can assess, and they will help you to do assessment to your company process and they will see whether you fulfill these requirements and whether the ISO 9000 QMS is effective or not in your company. So when you select, after you select, you definitely need to go for a system implementation, or in simple word, test run. So because this is a newly established thing in your company, so you need to test run. So when during this implementation stage, you will actually identify, oh, any things that is insufficient in your document, then you need to update. And maybe you found, oh, there's something wrong in this process. For example, the standard operating procedure and what you are doing is different. So maybe you can update accordingly during this system implementation. So once you are ready, you need to go for internal audit, which we talk about in clause 9, internal audit, or we call it or a pre-assessment. So you can actually do assessment and do audit for your ISO 9000 QMS, whether you fulfill the requirements or not. So if you notice, oh, in the internal audit, there is some findings where you didn't fulfill some requirements. So you need to complete and you need to take action to fulfill. After that, only we will go into the third-party assessment, where the certification body that you selected will come in to do a assessment audit to your company. So after this process, and they notice that, okay, that the requirements, you fulfill the requirements, everything is okay, and the system is effective, then yes, they will actually suggest you for the certification, and you will be able to get the ISO 9000 certs. So, however, after you got the cert, it's not ending yet. You need to make sure that you maintain the documents, you maintain the implementation, all the records and forms that you establish, you need to maintain it and retain it. So, and this third-party assessment will not only come only when you're doing the certification, because this certification, there is a deadline or an expiry date. So you need to renew. That's where you need to do recertification. So when you have recertification, this certification body will come and assess again whether your current system is maintained and you are okay to complete the recertification. Okay. So this is a brief timeline for the previous ISO and now. So as you can see, when there is a new updates of ISO, there will have a transition period. So for example, from the previous revision is 2015 to the one that we are using now, 2018. So it will be a 3 years of transition period where you need to make sure that, oh, within these 3 years, we update ourselves to the latest ISO requirements. So also the same in the future, when there is a new requirement, or a new revision of ISO 9001. Now, when you got the cert, for now, you are actually getting the certification for ISO 9001 for the year 2015. So when you have a latest revision, meaning that the cert, the year will change to another latest year. So in these 3 years of transition, you need to update your documents, making sure that you fulfill the latest requirements. And once it's after the 3 years transition period, you must follow the latest requirements, and the year of the ISO in your cert will also change. So this, because this is the criteria and scope that the auditor used to audit you. So if within that 3 years of transition period, you didn't update yourself, meaning that you are not fulfilling to the ISO 9000 requirements, so you may not continue to get the recertification for that. So Now, frequently asked questions. So normally we will ask who should get ISO 9000 cert. So actually ISO 9000 cert is a very beneficial cert, and it is very inclusive, where many industrials or business, it's related to ISO 9001, because ISO 9001 is actually how you make sure that your management system is you are providing a quality system or a quality process, quality service to your customer. So it's applicable for most of the business or industrial out there. So how much? Definitely, when you want to get a new cert, definitely you would think about the cost. So the cost here, they do not have like a specific, okay, you can actually get ISO 9000 within this range of cost. But the cost here is actually depends on what is the business size, what are the scope that you include in your company, the risk, and also the audit duration. So this will affect the cost. So why has purchasing changed to control of externally provided process, product, and services? So because previously, when we talk about purchasing, so it's too general. When we change to control externally provided processes, product, and services, which means it's not only product. Because when we talk about purchasing, normally we'll think of, oh, we purchase a product. So now when we change the term, meaning that it's not only covers the product, it's also covered when you purchase some service to your organization. So this is the purchasing part. So thank you, everyone. So that's the end of the session. And everyone, please scan this QR code for the exercise. So I will actually give some time for you for this exercise, around 10 minutes. So the exercise here can also, it's one of the proof of your attendance. So make sure that everyone scan this and do the assessment. Everyone, after you completed, so don't leave the Zoom first, because after this we will have a simple Q&A section, and I will answer the question that you asked in this chat box, and we will also have some sharing section from Kim also. Okay, so I will continue with this Q&A section. So if anyone that haven't complete the exercise yet, you feel free to continue it. But okay, just now Faiza Osman. So you asked about the maintaining the document in specific timeline. Can you actually explain more on what is this question about? Faiza, are you still?
Yeah, while waiting for Faiza, perhaps if let's say you have any question now, feel free to open the mic to actually ask Shin everything that you wants to clear, to get her to clear your doubts. I think Faiza mic is not working, Shin.
Okay, okay. So in that case, okay, by reading your question, maintain the document in specific timeline, perhaps you are actually asking on the timeline, like, is there any specific timeline for you to build up the documents, is it? Just to check, is there any specific time to retain the document? Okay, okay, so I think I understand on the retention period. Okay, so for these requirements for ISO, the requirement is that you need to maintain the document at least 3 years. However, if you decide to have more, it's better. But also you need to make sure that you consider when you have the warranty period of your product. For example, if you have a product and your warranty period is also your warranty period is 2 years. So doesn't mean that after the 2 years you can dispose the documents that are related to the product. So you need to maintain it, and for ISO requirement is at least 3 years. So am I answering the question? Okay. Okay, so thank you, Faiza. And Liana, any changes on SOP or work instruction? Is it required to conduct training for it changes? Okay, so when you have any changes in your SOP or your work instruction, the training that you conduct, it's good to have a training, because when you have a new work instruction, meaning that you have a new process or new operation flow, and these operators or this person in charge need to understand what are the new changes. So it's good to have a training when you have some changes. So Liana, am I answering the question?
Yes, Ms. Lim. So it means that
Okay.
it's not compulsory, but it's a best practice, right?
Yes, best practice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Li-Feng, how often should we do internal audit? So at least once a year, at least, yes. And okay, other than that, is there any other questions that you would like me to help you to clarify before I pass back to Kim?
Yeah, I think everyone is good because I still have some information to pass over to you guys now. In case you have any question in between, just type it in the chat box. So meanwhile, I think let us give Shin a big applause virtually for her sharing today. So I have some information for me to share with you guys. So, but before that, thanks for joining the free training today. I hope that you enjoy the content very much. But Shin, can I need your help that for me to share the screen? Okay, here,
Okay,
if
sure.
let's say you would like to learn more about us, in fact, we do have like certain trainings, upcoming trainings, training in this coming month, especially for your information, we do have free training like this monthly, every month. So for the next month, monthly free trainings that we'll be having in April, it's in March, is actually schedule based, and Shin will also be the trainer because in fact, she has been certified as a SEP1 computer person, so she will be training on how you should actually manage your schedule ways in March. So contact us if let's say you are interested to take part in this free training. It's free. And next on, what we have in April is that we do have a OSHA's coordinator training, so but it's an in-house class in Penang. Bear in mind that if this is actually a new law, so if let's say you do have like more than 5 employees in your company, you might want to consider that you will need to have an OSHA's coordinator. You need to get someone to be trained up and hire them as a OSHA's coordinator in your company. Okay, the last one, in view of today's training, which is related to today's ISO 9 overview training, we are having a lead auditor trainings in May. So if let's say you're very, very interested to be certified as a lead auditors, that you want to audit and a company and organization effectively, please come and join us, and this can actually help you with your career progression as well. So if let's say you're staying very, very far, it's fine because this is going to be an online training. So feel free to contact us. So meanwhile, I guess that I'm going to open. Okay, can we know the price for the lead auditor course? Faisal, I think we do have your email. So we are going to send out the email address to you. So don't worry. Now, speaking of the training calendar, right? If let's say y'all still haven't received the training calendar, if let's say you are interested, we do have a yearly calendar where you can actually get it from us. So we have like the series of the training over there, especially the monthly free training for each of every month. So yeah, come and get it from us if let's say you still haven't get it. So I guess Shin, this will be the end of today's session, right? But last thing, which is very important. Now maybe you'll take some time to go and tidy up because we'll need your help to open the camera and let's take a picture together so that Shin and me can actually show it to our boss that it's a successful training today. So yeah, let's open the camera. And we are going to take a nice group picture. Okay. I think Bella is Bella Wati, right? You have a lot of people out there. So yeah. Tudung tidy jap. Yang nak pakai makeup tu sekarang boleh pakai makeup. Kita boleh tunggu semua. Don't worry. Okay. Who else? Okay, we have 2 page over here. Let's still see. Firdaus, Elaine, Top Plus. I think Top Plus. Miss Lee, right? Top Plus, Miss Lee from Top Plus. And we have Guat Pei here, Chin Chin. Who else? Okay. Aida. Okay, yeah, I see Firdaus already. Guat Pei. Okay, now I think everyone is ready. Makeup dah pakai ah? Tak pakai, tak ada filter ah? Okay, now 3, 2, 1. Okay, let me save this now. Hang on. Sekejap ah. Okay, another one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, done. So I think it's the end of today's training session. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we are going to see all of these phases again in our upcoming trainings. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Shin.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.